This unit is Manage Your Picklist Values on the Picklist Administration Module Admin Intermediate Trail. This is actually on the Become a Salesforce Admin Trail Mix, which is what I'm trying to do. My name is Jeff Alhadeff. You're welcome to join me as I go through this unit. Or if I come across something useful, you could, I'll link to it in the description below and you could jump straight to that. I also do I don't show you how to do the challenges, but I show you what the hands-on challenge looks like when it's configured before I check to see if I got it right. And so you're welcome to jump ahead to that, and that might help you out as well. Okay, let's get going. After completing this unit, you'll be able to manage values for pick lists, to use formulas to define pick list values dynamically, okay, so like you would write a formula and then that would create some sort of, okay, I'll figure out what that means as I go on. Explain what happens to existing data as you change pick list values. Okay, that's good. Good management matters. You're still thinking about cookies from the last challenge? There are so many flavors of cookies in the world. If you're running a cookie company, you want to standardize your flavor names. Are your cinnamon cookies called snickerdoodles? Once you pick a name, you want to make sure your orders and other records always use the same name. We show you how to get smart about how you set the values for pick lists. Good pick list value management saves you time and helps keep the data in your org consistent. Where you set pick list values. Pick lists are fields associated with individual objects. Pick lists are fields, okay. Okay, there's objects, then fields, then records. Pick lists are fields associated with individual objects. You set and manage pick lists in the same place you add or manage other fields, an objects field and relationships page. When you created your pick list in the last unit, you set its initial values. Let's go back and look at the fields and relationships page. There it is. Fields and relationships. And that's for the product object. What does indexed mean? Where do we see that? The fields page in relationship identifies some fields as indexed. Oh, I feel like I'm not seeing something right now. The page of fields and relationships identifies some fields, including some pick lists, as indexed, and you're probably wondering what that means. An indexed field is stored in the database in a way that supports quick retrieval. This optimizes report generation, list views, and other requests sometimes. What makes a good index candidate is pretty advanced. Salesforce automatically analyzes performance and periodically assigns fields to be indexed. You don't have to think about this while you're creating pick lists, but it can be important later if you try to optimize report or org performance. I did not see anything in there that list that was indexed. Oh, over here. Seriously? Was that there this whole time? Right there. Okay. I was looking in here for the indexed values. Okay, if you're looking for indexed and you didn't see where it was, like I did, it's right here in the upper right hand corner, underneath this set history tracking that's indexed, and there'll be a check mark next to it. Yeah, I had to go over here and do a search on the page to find it. Alright, so that's where the indexed comes up. Manage picklist values. Moving along. Time to start tinkering with the values. In Setup, click the Object Manager tab and then select the object associated with your picklist field. Oh, I think the object I used was my custom object, what I called my whatever object, which just sort of embarrassing. Whatever. Okay, in the Setup, click the Object Manager tab and then select the object associated with your picklist field. Click Fields and Relationships. Click the picklist field label to see the field's detail page. Okay, here we are. I did the best movie. See your values in the value list, related list. There they are. You have a few options on this page. New, create a new value. Reorder, rearrange the existing values. Replace, replace an existing value. You can replace an existing value with a new value, one of the other values, or a blank value. If you replace an existing value with a blank value, existing records will not display the value anymore. Printable view. Set all your values at once. This is a helpful view while you set up a dependent pick list. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. Just pop them open in a new. And chart colors. Customize the appearance of values on charts and reports. You have two options there. Assign fixed colors to all values and assign color to values dynamically. Okay. Note, remember, sometimes standard picklist fields share a standard value set. When you change a value in that set, the change also appears in other standard picklist fields that use the same values. For example, the lead source and account source standard picklist fields share the same value set. Change standard picklist field values carefully. Here there are some standard values, some standard picklist fields. Okay, when you change the value in that set, the change also appears in other standard picklist fields. Okay, so if you change it and you use it in different places, it's going to change everywhere. For example, the lead source and the account source standard picklist fields use the same value set, so change standard picklist fields values carefully. I don't know what it means when they say change standard picklist values carefully. Like, just know what you're doing before you get into it? Like, know, I don't know. I mean, I guess don't change it to make sure it's useful, make sure it doesn't duplicate over something else. I don't know. Active, inactive, deleted, and replaced values. In the values related lists on the details page, you can edit, delete, or deactivate individual values. You can probably guess the difference between an active value and an inactive one. Active values appear as an option in a pick list. Inactive values don't, but they're not entirely removed from your org. They're the ones sitting outside during recess. When is this helpful? Think about your delicious pumpkin cookies. Pumpkin cookie? Why would it be pumpkin spice cookies? Is there such a thing as a pumpkin cookie? They aren't popular in the summer, so you set the value to inactive all summer. In fall, customers want pumpkin-flavored everything. Some do, and some don't. So you start making pumpkin cookies and set the value to active again. But sometimes you really no longer need a value. You tried selling spinach cookies. Surprisingly, these were not a hit with your customers, so you delete that value. Some important things to know about inactive values. Existing records containing a value, when you set to inactive, continue to contain the value. You can reactivate inactive values. This makes a good alternative to deleting a value entirely. There's a limit on the total combined active and inactive values. See Picklist limitations. If you hit these limits and need more, you can delete some values. Important things to know about deleting and replacing values. Decide whether to replace a value or leave it blank. If you replace it with a blank value, existing records will not display the value anymore. Okay, because you just went from having something there to having nothing there. To keep the value on existing records, use deactive instead of delete. Oh, I was wondering why there was like that DEL there. Okay, so if you're curious why the deactive here is in bold and the DEL is in bold and doesn't say delete, it's because it's referring to the text in this values area. So they have the deactivate. Did I say deactive or deactivate? Yeah, they have deactivate and delete. So that's just what they're referring to. No, I don't want to delete that. Bourne Ultimatum's the best. Okay. Yeah, that's what that means. I was confused. Maybe you were. Going on. Deleting a value in a pick list goes to the background jobs queue. When the job completes, your pick list is updated and you're notified by email. If you replace a parent value in a controlling pick list, the pick list dependency on that value is lost. After replacing the parent value, recreate the dependency using the new parent value. Okay, if you replace, so controlling pick list, I don't remember what those were. Okay. Dependent pick lists. Right, that's when you create one and then you have a selection of options underneath that. Okay. So if you delete the controlling one, then the dependency on it's also going to be gone. So after you put a new parent value in, you then have to create the dependence ones. Okay, that's fair. To replace a value, create the new value first, then click Replace to start the process. Let's just see what that looks like. Oh, okay. So I could put a name of a new movie in here, and then I can replace it with this one. That's cool. Okay, edit pick list values. Let's look at the values related list. On the details page, on the field's detail page, click Edit to see more options for a single value. Okay. You can make any of the following changes. Change the label name. Change the label. This is what appears in the UI. User interface. That's what you actually see. Why do they have to call it a user interface? I mean, I know that's like the tech term, but just on the screen. Change the API name. That's what you don't see. This identifies the value for use in formulas and programming references. Typically, once this value shouldn't change, otherwise references to the value can break in the back end. Set the value as the default for the pick list. Change the chart color. This setting determines how this value appears in reports and dashboards. If not selected, the color is assigned dynamically. Okay. Why a pick list's value's API name is important. It's easy to overlook the API name because it's auto-populated when you create the field, but this value is incredibly powerful. Okay. I'm tempted to think about all of the other things that I think might be incredibly powerful and see if the value of a pick list, if the API name of a pick list makes the list. Yeah. Well, maybe I should keep reading and find out. Since the Spring 17 release, pick list values are assigned an API name, which is a reference value to the field as well as a label, which is what shows in the user interface, what the user sees. The API name, what you don't see, allows formulas and custom apps to refer to a pick list value even if the field name changes. Imagine writing a formula, picture your eyes, or customizing an app that refers to a pick list label value, as admins and devs had to do before Spring 17. Then the pick list value changes, and now the formula reference to that value is no longer valid. Change happens, but references to the API name continue to be valid no matter the label value, and you can prevent the API name from changing to ensure references to the field's value won't become invalid later. So that's pretty convenient, I guess, because you can then write your equation, your formula, and it will continue to work even if people change the name. Controlling fields, dependent pick lists, and narrowing values. As we discussed in the previous unit, dependent pick list fields narrow the available values based on a selection in a controlling field. I was confused about this just a second ago, and I went back to the previous unit. I should have been more patient. For example, the user selects net free in a controlling field, and only cookie flavors that don't have nuts show in the dependent pick list field. The controlling field doesn't have to be a pick list. It can also be a checkbox. Mind-bending. To set a dependent pick list field, from the management settings for the object you want to add a field to, click Fields and Relationships. Click Field Dependencies. Click New. Choose a controlling field and a dependent field. Best movie. That doesn't make sense. I don't think I could do controlling and dependent on the same one. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense to me. Create a dependent relationship that causes the values in the field, the values in a pick list or multi-select pick list to be dynamically filtered based on the values selected by the user in another field. The field that drives filtering is called the controlling field. Standard and custom checkboxes and pick lists with at least one and less than 300 values can be controlling fields. Less than 300 values, my goodness. The field that has its values filtered is called the dependent field. Custom pick lists and multi-select pick lists can be dependent fields. Select a controlling field and a dependent field. Click Continue when finished. On the following page, edit the filter rules they control the values that appear in the dependent field for each value in the controlling field. I'm going to just continue with this and see what happens. I didn't think that made sense. Unable to create a dependency. The field you choose is directly or indirectly dependent on self. Right. I didn't think that made sense. So, in case you're wondering, if you only have one field here, you can't make it the controlling field and the dependent field. I tried to and got the error message. So, that makes this, I guess you just have to have created an additional one. So if you actually want to test this out, you got to create an additional one. Let's create an additional one. Field and relationship. So far as to do new. Picklist. Okay, good. Make sure I spell his name right. Some movies with Matt Damon. Oh no, that wouldn't be the category. What would be the category? Okay, movie types. Let's change it to that. Movie. And then we're going to have action, drama, everything. We'll click next. Oops. Make it visible to everybody, and we're going to click save. And then now let's go back. Okay. And we're going to make the controlling field the movie types and the dependent field the best movies. Okay. I mean, if I was to really do this, I would have done... Okay, I'm not doing this really right. This isn't what I really think about film. I'm not a film critic. Okay. Click continue. Use the field dependency matrix to specify which dependent picklist values are available when a user selects the controlling field. Let's check this out. What is this thing? A doc. Using the field dependency matrix. The field dependency matrix lets you specify the dependent picklist values that are available when a user selects each controlling field value. The top row of the matrix contains the controlling field values, while the columns list the dependent field values. Use this matrix to, so this thing, this is my matrix. Double click on a cell to toggle its visibility. So we're going to leave Shawshank, now it's in. We're going to leave Shawshank out of action, and we're going to call the Bourne Ultimatum our action film. We're going to call the Count of Monte Cristo and the Shawshank Redemption as drama, and the Princess Bride is everything, because it's got everything in it. Right? Action, humor, fencing. Okay. Optionally, select Preview to test your selections. It's got everything in it. There's the Princess Bride. I'm cracking myself up. And click Save. Okay, there we do. Did it. Some things to consider. Custom picklist fields can be either controlling or dependent fields. Standard picklist fields can be controlling fields but not dependent fields. Okay. So the standard fields are, that's like your base. You can't make them the secondary thing because that's just their standard. Multi-select picklist fields can be dependent but not controlling. Right, because if you select multiple things, you can't then show multiple lists for it. I guess you could, it would just be a longer list, but it's just not possible at the moment, I guess. You can set default values for controlling fields, but not for dependent picklists. If your org uses record types, you can set, I need to read that again, you can set default values for controlling fields, but not for your dependent picklists. Okay, so when a person comes to fill out the form, you could put something in there to start on the controlling field, but you have to leave the dependent picklist blank, essentially. If your org uses record types, choose a record type to test how it affects your controlling and dependent picklist values. The record type and controlling field together determine what values are available in the dependent picklist. For example, a dependent value is only available if it's available in the selected record type and the selected controlling value if your org uses record types. Why do I not recall what record types means? Choose a record type to test how it affects. Record types let you offer different business processes, picklist values, and page layouts to different users. You might create record types to differentiate your regular sales deals from your professional services engagements, offering different picklist values for each, or you might display different page layouts for your customer support cases versus your billing cases. Okay, example. Here's an example of how record types can work in your org. Let's say you have two sales divisions. Sorry, I think I spaced out there for a minute. Hardware and consulting, and only your consulting division receives leads through seminars. You can choose to display the seminar contact lead source for the consulting division only. Okay, manage master picklist. Define a list of contact lead source picklist values that contain all the values used both by hardware and consulting divisions, including seminar. Create two contact record types. One card hall. Oh, okay. So record type is who is this record going to be seen by? This step includes adding master picklist values to the record types. Add the hardware record type to the profiles for all users in the hardware sales division, and the consulting record type to the profiles of all users in the consulting sales division. Allow users of both hardware and consulting sales divisions to bypass the prompt that asks them to select a record type when creating a new contact. If you have users that create contact records for both sales divisions, they can customize their personal settings to always prompt them to select a record type. Okay. Straightforward enough. Use formulas for default picklist values. Now that you've got basics, let's assign a dynamic default value. This means, based on certain conditions and values from other fields, the picklist default value changes. Setting the right default can speed data entry. For example, you can change the default value for a field based on the profile of the person viewing the field, or if a customer's total cookie purchases are above a certain number, their frequent customer status changes. In Setup, click the Object Manager tab and select the object associated with your picklist field. In my case, that's the whatever object. Click Fields and Relationships. Click Edit next to the picklist field. Add your formula under General Options. Oh boy. Alright, well this is writing a formula, which candidly I'm not great at. Candidly I'm really bad at. But, okay, so if profile Alright, well this is an example of a controlling and a dependent one right here. So if the profile is equal to alright, so if the profile created date, let's say, was I don't think that makes any sense. Yeah, it's greater than now. That makes no sense. Okay, I'm not sure what I would want to create with this one. Let's see what they have. Case. Let's read this carefully. Month, today. Gingerbread 2, strawberry 4, chocolate 7. If case. I don't have case as a field type. Alright, so you can write a formula. That's cool. Let me guess. Yeah, the hands-on challenge requires a formula. Fantastic. I'm so excited. It's super helpful to click Show Formula Editor so you have more space. Yeah, I would think so. More importantly, the Formula Editor lets you check your syntax and gives you picklists. Yeah, picklists to suggest fields, operators, and functions to your formula. Tip: define something for the value default in case the formula doesn't resolve to an active value. For example, the following formula is an opportunity priority to high for all users. It's just an opportunity priority to high for all users in the fast response sales profile. Otherwise, the value is standard. So if profile name equals fast response sales, then high, and if not, then standard. Okay, fine. I got if statements. If you want a field to remain blank when the user isn't in the fast response sales profile, use if profile name equals fast response sales, then high, and if not, then null. Okay. Change field type to allow or prevent multi-selection. With all the options for picklists, rest assured you can change the field type when necessary. For example, if you have a custom picklist field and decide you want to make it a multi-select picklist, you can do that. In the in Setup, click the Object Manager tab, and then select the object associated with your picklist field. Click Fields and Relationships. Click Edit, and then click Change Field Type. Let's go see that. I'm going to change it from a picklist to multi-select, or something else. Note, inactive values will be lost. And vice versa. You can convert multi-select picklists to custom picklists that don't allow multi-selection by changing field type. Important. When you change a multi-select picklist to a picklist that doesn't allow multi-selection, Salesforce clears the values for that field on existing records. That makes sense, right? Because the fields now only allow one value. Right, so you're going to lose all of your data that you have. You can see that having a lot of flexibility managing picklist values and even the type of picklist to use. You can start with one type of picklist and switch to another, or you can change the behavior of the values in a picklist. It helps if you don't have to figure it all out in advance. Change the picklist properties to meet your needs. And in the next unit, you'll learn to share picklist values with more than one picklist. Hands-on challenge. Get ready. Okay, your challenge. Use a formula to define a picklist value. You knew it. As an administrator, you want the default value for macaroon flavor to be the flavor of the month for some months. Otherwise, the default is vanilla. Use the formula editor to set the default value for macaroon flavor, blah, blah, blah. Use the formula editor to set the default value for the macaroon flavor picklist as follows. I actually gave it. If not, okay, let's see how that goes. Okay, so I'm not really sure here. So I went into the product object on the macaroon, clicked edit, open up the formula. So the case operator says it checks an expression against a series of values. If the expression compares equal to any value, the corresponding result is returned. If it is not equal to any of the values, the else result is returned. So it's saying case, if the month of today is month 1, then show gingerbread. If it's 2, show strawberry. If it's month 4, show chocolate. If it's month 7, show raspberry. If it's month 11, show pumpkin. If it's month 12, show mint. And then it just says vanilla. And I want to make sure that if it's vanilla is the default value for the methods that aren't specified. And I sort of feel like there should be an if statement here. Like it should be if this. But if it is not any of these values, the else result is returned. So I think maybe vanilla is the else result. I'm going to check on our help on this function. Use the following operators and functions when building formulas. Click on the name of the operator or function below to view more details. This is the add, subtract, multiply. Okay, so we're going to look for case. There we go. Checks an expression against a series of values. Case else result. Okay. And replace expression with a field or value you want to specify each specified value. Replace each value and result with a value that must be equivalent to the returned result entry. Replace else result with a value that you want returned when the expression does not equal any values. So it looks to me like this, is 12 mint, and then that's the else vanilla. So I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to go over here and click check. Let's see how that works. Cool.